Welcome to the Business and Interiors podcast, the place where the world of interior design meets the essence of business success. I'm your host, David Del Greco, alongside my co-host, Cinzia Moretti of the award-winning Moretti Interior Design Studio. Our mission is to help interior designers run, streamline, and grow their business with confidence. In this podcast, we dive into the professional journeys and personal stories of some of the most inspiring interior designers and creative entrepreneurs. Each episode offers a glimpse into the strategies and experiences that have helped shape their business in this ever-evolving industry. So tune in, get inspired, and join us as we uncover the stories behind the design.
Our podcast guest today is Chloe Bullock, the founder of Brighton-based interior design studio Materialise Interiors, and the author of Sustainable Interior Design. With 30 years of experience, Chloe has established herself as a pioneering voice in sustainable, vegan, and health-conscious interior design. Chloe, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to be here. I've been a fan of your show. I've been enjoying it, and it was lovely to be asked along. So thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Appreciate that. Thanks for coming. From all the way
From
from Brighton.
A long journey.
It's a sunny day, so it's good.
Yes.
Yeah, it's lovely.
So, Chloe, how did you start the interior design business?
Well, I think I feel really fortunate that I sort of been into design really since school. You know, I kind of did all the options of like art and design, A-level, art college. And then I actually went to the interior design course at Nottingham Trent University, which was then called Trent Polytechnic. It was still in the Polytechnic days. And saw the course, loved it. But actually, when it came to filling in my form, I swapped it to furniture design because I'd loved making things. I loved designing furniture. So it was a last minute kind of decision, but it came from the heart. And we were the sort of sister course. So we learned a lot together. And so from there, when I graduated, it was like the early 90s. It was kind of quite a hard time for work. There was the recession and I did get a job as a junior designer in a furniture company, which is great. But then another sort of bump of the recession came along and the last people in were the first ones out. And I found myself sort of, how do I find work again? And Brighton, I love Brighton. I've grown up there and I was quite keen to stay in my hometown. But I'd grown up with a body shop. Since I was 6, the body shop was a mile away from where I was. It's Anita Roddick's first shop. Mm-hmm. And I kind of, her values, I've learnt a lot from how she goes about her business unfortunately she passed away. But so that was a sort of like large company near Brighton in Littlehampton. So I sort of wrote a letter to her and desperately asked if I could go and get some work experience. And luckily they responded. So that work experience actually turned into a 10-year career with the company where I kind of converted my furniture design skills to interiors through being a retail designer for them, which involved loads of travel and it was great. So, yeah, and after 10 years, there's only so many times you can redo a store design. And they were very empowering. And I just felt like it's time to go and try and do it myself. So, yeah, after 10 years, I set up Materialise Interiors. So
Nice.
Where the name comes from?
I've kind of, because of that background, I'm just really interested in materials. And so it's a bit of a play on words, kind of a space, a sort of a thought. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it came from there, really. From my degree, we really got into materials and woods and, it was wonderful learning. So kind of from there.
I mean, today we're going to explore basically all things sustainability.
Cool.
And obviously we'll discuss and explore your latest book. And but first of all, what inspired you to focus on sustainability?
Well, the body shop experience was a bit like going back to uni again because I was learning about sustainable design.
Mm-hmm.
Before it was really a thing, we had a great list of, we had questionnaires for all the materials that we used. We had to vet all the factories that we used. We had to make sure that it was a conscious supply chain. So that just became how I did it anyway. And then because it is a very ethical business, the way they do business, how they work with their community and their workers and all of that, that became how I did things as well, because that's just how I'd learnt it there. So it wasn't particularly conscious. It was just a continuation, really.
I see.
So, and I just was doing it anyway and not really talking about it.
It's interesting because interior design is always trying to find their space, in the market, and you found yours without even trying, and you kind of claimed that niche as well, which is I think probably a really good case study on how to basically claim your niche and how to and to show how and why specialization sometimes is the way forward.
Yeah, this whole niche, it's, it feels a scary thing to do. And first of all, I didn't do it consciously again. So what happened, there's a podcast called The Well-Designed Business in the US.
Mm-hmm.
I was an early adopter to it. There were no other interiors podcasts. I realised that now that I learn through listening to things rather than reading. I'm just that kind of learner.
Yeah.
And that had sort of exploded this sort of learning experience for me. So that podcast is about running a business and the business side of it as well. But it's different again. But so she had a guest who is Deborah Damari, who is she's one of these sort of TV interior designers. And she kind of went on a learning process herself and realised about animals in our industry.
Yeah.
And then decided to formulate a course with PETA, who are the people for the ethical treatment of animals. Yeah. So this really, really brilliant course was available. So I took it. And then I realised I was the first one in the UK and maybe Europe that had taken this course, the first designer. So being a sole practitioner, I can take a few risks. I can be a bit more agile and I'm not affecting other people with decisions that are made. So I just felt that although vegan design is one aspect of my work, I just felt that to kind of raise awareness in the industry, I was sort of happy to put myself forward as that person. So it wasn't particularly, I didn't really want it to be about me. I wanted it to be about the notion of animal use in our industry, really. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of how that kind of came about.
That's great. And I mean, what kind of challenges did you face when establishing your own business with such a strong ethical focus as well?
Well, for very many years, I mean, this is my 19th year in business now. I feel
Congrats.
ancient. So I better celebrate it next year. But for a lot of the time, I was just doing it anyway. You can make a big song and dance out of things. I'm not doing that. Just show something better. Just offer something that performs better, looks better. So I was just sort of doing it like that for so many years. Mm-hmm. Every now and again, a client would really, really want something that was made of leather or wool, or actually on the course I hadn't got into, because I was a commercial designer really, coming from a retail background. Yeah. I hadn't realised there's tons of other materials that we use in homes that I wasn't really using because I was working on commercial properties more. Mm-hmm. So it kind of opened my eyes to the other things like wool and silk and all the things. So I was just kind of doing it anyway. And then I think, the word vegan, I am one, but I think it's very confusing from the outside. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to use it because I wanted to be precise. I wanted to be factual. So vegan means, it's not only applied to food, and it means not including animal products and not tested on animals. So there's sort of two aspects. So there's cruelty-free, which is not tested, but it could still have animal products in it. Right. So I just have to be authentic, you know. I just had to say the thing, and I think that really, really confused a lot of people. Right. And I really didn't want to. I don't want to kind of. I don't want to be this disruptor. I want to be an approachable person that can, you know, talk about things too. So yeah, the vegan word hasn't always been helpful to me, but yeah, that kind of had to be real.
So how do you explain that, for instance, if a client approaches you and say, I love the idea of using vegan products inside my house.
Yeah.
What can you suggest as these products?
Well, I mean, every project and every remit is quite different. So sometimes I get into all of it, and sometimes it's just the sort of, you know, general. Yeah, I mean, I still work on a lot of commercial properties as well. So yeah, I just sort of make suggestions, and there's no point in kind of pushing. I mean, we're in a difficult industry to start with. I mean, we kind of really want our clients to be happy. We want to be able to show our design skills and show our value. You know, sometimes I feel that in sustainability generally, we sometimes need to push back a little bit more than we do sometimes, you know. So, yeah, I kind of try and always just try and have other options to show. And I try and keep up my research and go to shows. And I've got a really nice bit of software as well, which is called My Doma Studio.
Oh, yeah.
And that's, it's a sort of, within it, it's got a digital library. And so I can sort of do my pre-research before I've even met any clients, you know, and just have things sitting there ready. So that's really, really helpful. And
do suppliers do add information whether their products are eco-friendly, sustainable on nowadays?
It's getting a lot better. I mean, for a long time, you know, basic things from my body shop days were kind of like, is it sustainable timber? Is it FSC or PEFC certified? Quite simple, basic questions. Now you are seeing those in descriptions. Yeah. I used to ask the question and have to wait a couple of days for an answer, you know. And it's just, so for things like that, it's just, if it's not sustainable timber, it's really quite a bad story, because it often means illegal logging. It means that people aren't paid fairly, biodiversity is affected. It's kind of has so many prongs to it. Yeah. So yeah, it's getting easier, but transparency is something that we all really need to push for. And then harmony of that transparency as well, kind of getting information in and sort of being able to compare between companies as well. Because sometimes they report back in different ways.
So I notice actually there is a shift in the market, and more clients are asking for sustainable products now. Yeah. Because they are becoming more aware that what is on the market, and the topic is growing.
Mainstream, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that it is the right time to actually push. And it would be nice if more suppliers would be more straightforward with the information and details of the products. So maybe that's something that we can
definitely
put out there and say to suppliers.
I mean, they're missing a trick if they don't do it, you know, because it just makes your mind go to, well, where is this thing made, and who made it, and how were they paid, and you know, and what's it made from, and what's its life cycle. It kind of, all the questions come in when they don't declare them. I just think, well, you're hiding something. That's how I go. But yeah, I mean, our clients are, well, my clients are younger and they are more informed in all of this. And my advice to other designers is, you're going to have to catch up with your clients soon. Yeah, absolutely. And so sort of one of the motivations for writing the book really was to help people catch up and find that approach, that common thread that works between them and their client and the project. But yeah, it's time to sort of, I know the reason I joined the BIID all that time ago was because they did CPD. I always wanted to continue my learning. I've probably overlearned. There's sometimes I don't get to use the things I've learned in all my projects, but I still enjoy it learning, and that's what we are cut out to do. So
that's great. And it's great that the clients are asking for that nowadays, because I think back in the day, or a few years ago, interior designers were scared to propose eco-friendly, sustainable products because they were more expensive.
Yeah.
And is that changing now in terms of are clients more inclined to pay more for something that is sustainable and eco-friendly?
I'm finding they are, obviously, but my clients maybe are more aligned with me, but they're not always. I mean, some of my clients simply do a Google search and come to me, and they have no idea of all of the things that I'm offering. So, but yeah, there's generally an awareness of everybody's consumption, really, of what they're feeding themselves with, what they're wearing, and we're part of all of that, really. So. Yeah.
It makes sense, actually, as you said. You're very careful what you eat. You're very careful with the product you put in your body, trying to do sustainable in lots of different things.
Yeah.
But what about the things you touch and use every single day inside your home? So I think that is the right time.
Definitely. And, there's just so many words used for the same thing.
Yeah.
So like the healthy and the biophilic side of things, which I know that you're an expert on as well, but it's kind of, there's a air quality podcast that I really love called Air Quality Matters. And recently he said, his name's Simon Jones, and he said that we live in if we live to 80, 70 of those years are spent indoors. And I think it's 55 or 57 of those years are spent in our own home. So I just feel it's a duty for us to supply our clients with healthy homes, because they're there all that time, and we know all these finishes, even in heat, the heat is having an effect on the finishes in people's homes and off-gassing, and, the whole, the 3 Ps, the pathogens, products and pollution. Yeah. So, it's we really do need to kind of catch up with our learning, really.
What do you think are probably the most common misconceptions about sustainable interior design that you see in the industry?
Well, the price factor, which I haven't answered that completely for you. So some things are a little more expensive. Some things for clients, they value that difference because they know that there's they can see what that gap is. They can see that people are paid more fairly, or it's designed to last longer. Or, and then when they see that difference, that's something I noticed that either my commercial clients that become part of their marketing, and one in particular is this Greek restaurant in Hove called Nostos. So he is really smart, and he's sort of caught on to what I was doing for him as his concept, and now he's talking about all of his sourcing. He's talking about his community, and it's literally a ripple going out, and it's so lovely to watch. So that's nice. And then residential clients, they love that storytelling just to their friends. It's not just something that's just been bought. I mean, obviously we love beauty in our industry, but it's being able to talk about beauty and another layer of something a bit more, wholesome. Mm-hmm. But other sort of thoughts in the industry, I guess people think that they're going to lose something that they like to use regularly. There's a lot of innovation out there. One of the reasons things are more expensive is because the innovators are smaller companies and they haven't got that sort of economies of scale yet. Yeah. And that's a bit chicken and egg, and you kind of feel like we need to support some of them to kind of help them to grow. I think there's a misconception that things will look woolly and kind of not have, there's a lot of sustainable designers that work in luxury high end and they're achieving it. So I work in such a mixture. So, but yes, it's, again, the reason I wrote the book is to show that sustainability is also beautiful. Mm-hmm. And so I could really clearly see that there were 11 approaches that would help designers to kind of latch onto sustainability and sort of work with their clients and work with their own values.
And what are those approaches?
So there's people. So it's looking at the people in our industry and kind of the conscious supply chain. Because sustainability is so often talked about as, you know, planet and carbon, but the societal, sustainability, the kind of looking after the people as well, and kind of where our things are made, what effect does it have on the people that live near the manufacturing, that work with the products in their work, so the installers and us as designers, the impact it has on us.
It was interesting to read that, because you wouldn't think of that particular topic, when you kind of want to be more sustainable. I think a lot of designers, they try to select natural materials, or they try to go for eco-friendly products, or products that are the quality is higher, so that you think that they last a little bit longer, so more longevous products.
Yeah.
But you never think of people, in that process.
Yeah, I guess that's again the body shop experience. The people, they had their own version of fair trade, which was community trades. They kind of had really long-standing working relationships with their suppliers, and they sort of became really close. It was lovely.
Mm.
So, yeah, it's important that we're conscious of that. And unfortunately, there is modern slavery. There's children in some of our supply chains, and we kind of just need to be more aware of just knowing that these things are there to look out for, and to know about the certifications that are out there to help us as well. And then place. I really wanted to do a chapter that kind of the effect of the locality of your project to where it is. Not necessarily for biophilic, because that's another chapter, but for like local skills, local materials, vernacular kind of building. So I really wanted to write about the sort of effect of that local relationship. So it's such nice projects. Mm-hmm. Don't ask me if I've got any favourites, because I love them all. And then what's next? So we've got healthy buildings. So that is, again, it could have been biophilic and healthy in one chapter, but I wanted to keep them out and separate. But healthy buildings, sort of conscious, inert materials that are healthy to have with you in your spaces, and kind of homing into. There's so many overlaps, but the sort of non-mechanical ways that you can work and enhance the health of the building occupants. And then there's biophilic design, which is such a lovely one as well. So that's kind of tuning into our sensory. I really wanted to everybody goes to plants, and I'm sure you find that frustrating as well. There's so many other aspects to biophilic design, so I really wanted to kind of raise awareness for that.
Because you specialise in biophilic design as well, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful what you do. So, and so there's a Laura Hardy's 5-story bamboo building there, which is incredible, especially in terms of engineering. But then they've got like Oliver Heath's in the middle of London. There's a spa that he's created that's biophilic, which is so hard because he's got tubes, rumbling underneath and buses going past, and yet that team have created a really lovely interior.
I think a lot of people struggle to understand what biophilic means, and I think what you said, people think that okay, I'm just going to include some plants into the interior, and all of a sudden, the interior becomes biophilic. Yeah. What does it mean to introduce, biophilic design into our home?
I mean, it's.
We should do a podcast for that, because that's a big topic.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's particularly my specialism, but for my interpretation of it, and I use unconsciously. I use it in my designs. It's that connection to nature. So it's about views. It's about feeling nature, smelling nature. Nature is animals as well. Nature is weather. It's kind of all the things that are other than just the beauty. So it's I really wanted to kind of highlight like blue health, because we go to green stuff, but there is also the water effect on us when we see water and have that in our spaces. It's so important to have within, and all the materials. Seeing wood grain, it's so much better for us than just sort of seeing flat things. This stone and having real materials. So it's the other project that is in that chapter is this is actually from Queer Eye in Brazil, and he's an architect, and he has designed his own home, which is in it's like a brutalist tower block, but he's kind of combined biophilic design with kind of high tech home automation. He's made a really multi-purpose space with like moving walls, and all the plants are watered. It's just really clever and technical. So again, I wanted to sort of show that biophilic has a sort of low tech and a high tech aspect to it as well. So that home automation side.
Also the natural light element.
Oh yeah. And we know that Florence Nightingale, she was putting her patients near windows because she could see it was enhancing their recovery rates, and then it goes into schools as well. It's just so daylight. And a book that I read, which I loved, which was Chasing the Sun, and it's a scientist who kind of goes into different communities. So she went into an Amish community to sort of see how they live by candlelight and not electric light, and they live with the sunrises and sunsets, and they adjust their working day and their evening day to it. It's so interesting. And right through to kind of she followed gamblers in Las Vegas because they kind of created this all day, haven't they, there, and seeing how that affects their bodies. So it's huge. It's just so not plants only. But we should use plants to clean our indoor air, and there's lots of benefits, and the smells, and So I think the next one is
climate and biodiversity.
Oh yes. So this is kind of just if you wanted to address the crisis that we are facing, and I see them as one and the same because they are affecting each other. So these are projects that kind of, one of them is kind of showing how you can build and live in this one planet. So we're all kind of, you can take an online quiz and see how your life is. And most people's are kind of like 3 or more planets worth that they need to run, their life, holidays, living, eating, travelling. So there's this, in Wales, they have developed this one planet theory where people are kind of living off the land, having self-sustaining properties that are not too big, self-powering. It's just very, very interesting. So there's a lovely project in there for that. And then just sort of seeing how our industry has an impact on biodiversity, which feels quite alien, and then you start getting into it, and we are using products that are mined, extracted, we are using materials that are really affecting
our health as well.
And affecting the sort of geology of the planet, and then right through to kind of end of life, and through the process of making things going into our waterways, and then so it's kind of just showing how that is having an impact, and so raising awareness for that as well. And then ethical business, I think, is the last one. Yeah. So that is just kind of to show how ethical businesses have used that as used sustainability as a way to communicate. There's some examples of B Corp in there as well, and Body Shop sort of comes in at the end, because since leaving there, their team's done amazing work, and they really have pushed the boundaries, and they're doing things like material passports and really designing, thinking about how this is going to be repaired and how it's going to be used somewhere else. I mean, on the way here, I won't say the name of the place, but there's been a refit in the place where you go and buy a sandwich. And I'm thinking, where's that shop fit gone that was here before, that was not all that worn out anyway? But what's happened to it? And I wonder if it's been reused anywhere, or if this is just an aesthetic update. So Body Shop will kind of make sure that that's going somewhere and it's usable again somewhere else if the site were to move or update. And they've just carried on doing it really consciously, and it actually looks great. And it's really lovely to go back and visit.
That's great. What would you like people to take from the book?
I just want them to feel that it's actionable. There's things that you can do. I want people to know that, you don't have to do it perfectly. You don't, if you can't do it, if they feel you have to do it all and don't start, then I want people to just feel, oh, I could do that. And then maybe next time I could talk to the client about this,
Right.
just to sort
Small
of
steps.
Just invite people in and not feel that it's so scary that you just can't even think about it. And I really hope people can just show their clients that look at this project and kind of show what's been done.
Yeah. I guess it's also about challenging or becoming even more creative, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, this is my slight bugbear with our industry. We are, we studied design. When I studied design, it was about problem solving. It's become, I mean, we didn't have TV designers when I was studying. I get frustrated, so I can't get my words out. But it's become about just consuming and trends and shopping and just buying stuff. And I feel that I have so much admiration for our industry. I feel that we wear so many hats. We have so many skills. People just don't get, the amount. They just think that we come in with cushions and curtains. And I just feel that sustainability is another way to show our skills as well. Showing another added value. Yeah, it's another challenge. It's another layer of challenge for our skills, but we can do it. We're doing it all the time.
Also, to educate our clients, because they are not aware of what is on the market that maybe we know. And if we suggest something, say, look, actually, this product is good product because it's sustainable, let's say, in this way, but it does the job or the look we want to achieve. So I think it's about, we have to know what is on the market, suggest the right product for the right client as well, and for the right purpose of the product. I think step by step, we can achieve that.
Definitely. And, if people are engaged in the services of an interior designer, they are paying for us to know this, really. If I'm being really, harsh on our industry, but it's our kind of duty of care, really, to be there and with the knowledge and help because, like we said earlier, they are aware. So we need to be there with the answers, and you don't know all the answers. And that's why things like Interior Design Declares is really nice, because we're trying to encourage sharing of knowledge and supporting each other on different levels of kind of where you are on the journey. And just, collaboration and helping each other in our industry.
I think that also we should push suppliers to help us on this task.
Yeah.
But if you think about an interior design studio, the amount of samples we get every single day, once the sample is out of stock or is discontinued, where do their samples go? We have to throw away somehow.
Yeah.
So I wish maybe the supplier would do kind of system say, look, this is everything's been discontinued, put in a bag, send back to us, and we will, recycle those.
Yeah.
Because there's so many interior design with so many different samples. Imagine the quantity of waste.
I know.
There is.
It's crazy.
Maybe just put out there for suppliers and they
Yeah.
can help us on these and help us to be more sustainable.
It is one of the things we've been sort of talking about in interior design declares. I mean, that is one end of it, and then the other end of it is kind of people are very concerned about what happens at the end of a project when something's cleared out.
Yeah.
Not at the end, at the beginning.
Yeah.
And kind of where does it go, and those questions. So those are the sort of immediate things that we all kind of chime in with, and then it's kind of, and you build up the in between, kind of all the other things that alarm us. Yeah, there's so many things that we can do, and I think I just keep coming back to, I'm a sole practitioner and I can push back. So bigger companies, imagine how much influence they have on their supply chains.
Yeah.
And we have formulated a questionnaire for interior design declares that people can download and sort of tailor it to how they want to, what questions they want to ask. But we've kind of packed it full of everything for now, and then everyone can sort of tweak it so that they can just demand more clarity and more transparency from their suppliers. And they might not have all the answers, and they might say, "Whoa, this form's huge," But we're hoping that the fact that we're asking the questions I really feel that suppliers are just waiting until they have to make changes, and once they hear the same questions coming from lots of us, they'll be like, "Well, this is a business thing. We need to kind of be there with these better products and transparency."
It's just this circle of that I think that it starts with the client, because if the client doesn't have that awareness, then is not going to, the designer can propose certain sustainable options, but sometimes the client doesn't care.
No.
And because of that, then this interior designers will order the same stuff from the suppliers, and things remain the same.
Yeah.
And until the client says, no, I don't want that kind of product, then I think that's how you kind of break that cycle.
Yeah.
Because then the interior designer said, no, I want only these products because these are my clients. This is what they want. And I think if more and more interior design studios were to act that way, or were to send those inquiries to the, to the supplier, then the supplier has no choice but to adapt, to the demands of the market.
Because I actually had a lovely client that she was very keen on sustainable products in a house, and they actually pushed us as interior designer and my team to source and to research things. Oh, maybe we can do that, and that, because she put us in our mind some ideas that actually we might be able to find a solution for that. And so sometimes, I've been very lucky with this client, absolutely lovely, but she's very conscious about everything she touches in the house, and the paint is used. And I found that very refreshing.
Yeah.
That someone came to me and said, I want this, this, and this, because I'm very conscious about what we breathe inside our house. And I thought we should have more clients like this.
It's lovely. And I think we don't talk about what we learn from our clients enough, actually, because I've learned a lot from clients.
Yeah.
There's always people that know more about things, and it's lovely to keep that open and kind of, keep that conversation going, isn't it? And kind of collaborate with your clients as well.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had to say I learned a lot from my client,
It's lovely.
And it was a lovely experience.
Yeah, it's great. And then you've brought that into other projects probably since then.
Yeah.
So there's all these ripples happening everywhere.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully that kind of will expand even more, and we can start seeing some changes there, because like I said, it's I think the interior designer has to wear so many hats, right?
Yeah.
Especially because there are so many of interior designers that are just one-man band, one person studio.
Yeah.
And and they might think that learning about sustainability is another thing to do when it's not needed if the clients don't have that need, or there's no demand there from the market.
Yeah.
So it's really obviously making them understand as well that the purpose of this, the purpose of becoming more sustainable, and try to educate the client as well, so that they are an element, a key element in educating the client, as you were saying.
I sort of feel that I'm as much from the sustainability community as I am from the interiors community. I kind of sit in both quite well. And in the sustainability community, I'm hearing about lots of requirements from, it's getting tighter. So large companies have a corporate social responsibility duty, and that's having an effect on all their suppliers, and it's sort of cascading down, and you can see it in other businesses happening. People who are ready with the answers are getting the work, so it's going to happen. So it's crazy to sort of just hide.
Yeah.
And also, without sounding too doom and gloom, we know that, we've got David Attenborough's telling us 10 to 20 years, we've really got to make some big actions.
Yeah.
We all know we've got to do something, so better to all do a little bit now.
Yeah.
We're going to have to do it a lot later if we don't do a little now. So there's a kind of spreading of risk, and there is a learning curve to it, but it's not impossible. Just start doing something, make some tweaks. And actually, my motivation in my work is to just be really useful, and I love helping clients. But I have actually, since the book, started working with architects and designers on their own sustainability. And that's been great, because I've been helping them to sort of look inwards at their business and how they operate, which has been wonderful. And also looking outwards into how they do their projects as well. And so that's been, I feel really useful doing.
Yeah, because I saw on the website that you don't only design interiors, but you also act as a consultant for the industry, basically, for the community.
And a study that I did during the book, Living Future Accredited. So that kind of extends to working with suppliers on their products and kind of helping to make their production and their end products more sustainable. I just feel like, I could be useful there as well. So those conversations are starting to happen as well. Yeah, I just really want to kind of help. I feel so fortunate in my education, the body shop experience. I really want to help others, because it's like we said before, it's going to have to happen anyway.
That's good.
So,
what is the most, let's say, interesting thing that you found out when you were doing the research for the book?
I mean, there's just this.
Or shocking.
There is quite a lot of shocking. I mean, I'll get that one out of the way first. But what worries me is kind of, parts of the planet are going to be really uninhabitable. We've got this 2050 target for carbon. You hear everyone doing this net zero 2050, which is something I've signed up to as well, but I want to get there a lot earlier. But 2050, the planet is just going to be completely uninhabitable in places. There's people going to have to live in other places, and we're not great at that bit already. So that worries me. I was really low reading about that and having to write about it, but I felt I needed to say. But there is, in a positive light, like I said before, there are lots of lovely innovators. There's lots of people doing really clever things that are sort of solving problems. So, people really dwell on leather, and it's kind of, all right, let's look at the alternatives. There's some ways that we can use things that are deemed as waste, but create fibres and make things that are like a leather. Problem solving, without having to even bother with animals and chemicals and all of that. So that's really exciting, sort of bio-based materials and all of that kind of innovation. Really lovely. So I found that really exciting.
Good.
Yeah. So what is next for you now?
Well, still kind of lots of volunteering with Interior Design Declares and kind of getting our supply chains and our fellow designers signed up for that.
So what is the initiative exactly?
So we're a sort of a group of designers that are acknowledging that there's this crisis, the biodiversity and climate crisis, and sort of saying that we want to improve together. And that takes the form, and we were all volunteering, and lots of us are small businesses. So it can be, we can have time struggles at times, but we communicate with our signatories, and we've got over 300 now, which is quite good. And we send them lots and lots of information in our newsletters, which go out quarterly. And then Decorex really give us a lovely platform every year. Last year we had 4 slots there, each day for panel discussions. And this year we've got 6, so we've got a sort of combination of sort of talks and panels as well. And we have a get together as well. So it's kind of lots of social media started to get better now as well. So we just trying to share what we know, helping others with their journey really. So I'll kind of give some time to that, and I do some mentoring as well, just for young designers, and so I kind of my working week isn't all projects. I'm tempted to do some more study, but I think I better just implement the study that I've already done. A bit too much. So yeah, I'm very...
You get sucked in, isn't it? As soon as you start, learning about different things, and you just want to go deeper, I guess.
Definitely. But I'd love to show off what I've learned and the extra things I've learned in the book. I'd love to use some of the supplies that are in the book in projects, I'd love to and I'm in conversations with some over that as well. So just I really enjoy helping clients, especially ones that are aligned with my values and kind of want consciously created spaces. I feel this helping others in the industry is somewhere that I could really help. So sustainability support. And I've been working with one of the past presidents of the BIID on her business's sustainability, which has been great, and an architect. And so it's been lovely. And I can do it as a package, or I can do it on an hourly basis. So I feel that lights me up as well. I feel very enthusiastic about it.
That's great.
Amazing.
Well, congrats on the book.
That's going to be my next.
I'm halfway through, and it's amazing, and it's super interesting.
Thank you.
And I think anyone that wants to start or their journey in sustainability, or whether they know already a little bit but they want to dive deeper, I think that's a really, really great book.
Thank you so much for saying that.
And thanks again for
so
sharing
much
all
for
your
sharing,
insights.
It's so lovely to be here. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much, Chloe.
Thank you, Chloe.
Thank you for tuning in. And if you enjoyed our conversation, feel free to share it with your friends. And if you wish to dive deeper into the business of interior design, we invite you to join our membership community at businessandinteriors.com. Until next time.